Welcome to the show that gives the color purple a whole new meaning. That's right, we're talking about the second Marvel Netflix series, a show that follows a hard-drinking and hard-boiled private investigator with superhuman abilities as she combats her dark past returning to haunt her. This woman and this show is Jessica Jones.
Jessica!
Jessica! I'm not in this episode at all, Jessica! How you doing, Dragon?
On the right side of the dirt.
Right on. So, Luke Cage, coming at us very soon. We're only a few days away. We're about 5 days away at this point, so I'm very excited about that. So, Dragon, we're just kind of mowing on along with covering the last few Jessica Jones episodes, and this one is a very unconventional episode because it definitely deals in the aftermath, which is something we've been kind of discussing. It is kind of a broad spectrum theme of the series. Deals in the aftermath of the Hope Schlottman death, but I believe, Dragon, quote me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is the one and only episode of the show where we don't get any Purple Man. Like, we don't get a flash of him, we don't get any of his voice, nothing.
Well, if you count like flashes and kind of like little voice things, I'm trying to think of, the first episode we're bound to have some like little flashes of him. So yeah, pretty much is the first one with actually absolutely no sign of Kilgrave.
So what do you think of that? Is it like I'd say it's a bold choice on the show's part, kind of like a calm before the storm?
So I'm also trying to think of the third episode. Yeah, we have to have flashes in those first three. So, yeah, you're right, though. It is kind of a calm before the storm. You're right. It's basically the way I kind of describe Kilgrave in this episode. We'll get to this during Purple Man's progression, even though he doesn't appear in the episode. Again, this is kind of what we did with the first two episodes. That Kilgrave is used very sparingly to the point where he's almost not in the episodes. It's kind of like a Jaws reveal of it's like he's swimming around. You're sort of waiting to hear this. At the end of this episode, we kind of hear the music. Even though it's more of a color scheme and more of his kind of an ideology. It's just like that, almost like a dun 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 dun, mind control.
All right, so with that in mind, Dragon, let us dive into it. Let's start with the plot.
Right. So 11 plot. Jessica, the main premise of this episode is Jessica's trying to find Kilgrave's father so she can now kill the Purple Man. Jessica pushes her limits to do so, accomplish this promise she made to Hope Schlottman. Trish supportively aids her throughout. We see flashbacks of the episode to Jessica post the loss of her family, and we the audience learn how she bonded with Trish. It wasn't like instant, best pals for life. There was room to grow. Meanwhile, Simpson tries to join the Kilgrave, effort to let's kill the Purple Man mission, which leads to Simpson completely snapping, completely off the deep end, kind of nuke territory. He attacks. In doing so, he attacks Jessica and Trish. Very gruesome, very scary kind of the Shining manner, if you will. Meanwhile, Malcolm faces the aftermath of the restaurant along with the rest of the support group. Luke Cage is back and a target of the Purple Man.
Very briefly.
And Luke's place is no more by the end.
No!
You blew it up! Darn you to heck, you blew it up!
Okay. All right, so before
so many sad and tragic memories there. You blew it up!
Before we get into the tragic passing of Luke's, let's get into Jessica's journey.
Right. So we start the episode with Jessica. She's interestingly enough, again, like I mentioned in the previous episode, with Kilgrave, we kind of had him. Kilgrave was back to square one. Remember, he was just kind of in a position of he was kind of brought to near death thanks to Jessica. At points, he's been subjected to a lot of physical and emotional trauma, and he was rebuilding himself more powerful than ever. Which the fact he's not in this episode really shows you the power of, oh my god, the guys, you're still worried, worrying your head off about the guy.
Sure.
And Jessica in this episode is kind of the same, but she's right back to the really kind of PTSD affected Jessica Jones. And in the beginning here, she's processing immediate trauma of Hope killing herself again. Had all basically she tasted success, and then it was all just it was soured by the Purple Man and compelling Hope to kill herself, so she would kill the Purple Man. So she's processing immediate trauma, and she has a lot of guilt over Hope, which with the last few days, she's just been completely blindsided by the last couple of days. And she lived with the Purple Man for a while. Then she has him in a box just where she wants him. And then Hope Schlotman, she gets freed and then kills her. She's had a rough couple of days.
Yeah, that stretch from episode 8 to 10 is just like ridiculous in terms of it's literally like pretty much a 3-day cycle. I don't know, like episode 10 might be a couple days, but definitely episode 8 and 9 took place over 24-hour periods of time. So you're right, Dragon. It's an eventful week for Jessica Jones, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, and I kind of noticed with Jessica in this episode, just kind of breaking down kind of where she is at the beginning of this episode and where she is by the end of it. You'll notice in the episode she's again, it's kind of going back to the kind of genesis of the show, where it's all about kind of Jessica trying to regain control of her life since someone kind of took control away from her, or at least made her question any control she would get after that trauma. So like she's going off instinct this episode. She doesn't really have a plan whatsoever. Like remember at the beginning of the show, kind of plan was okay, prove Kilgrave's alive. Make sure you're not going crazy, and then the whole the plan with the cell and everything to send him. All that. So really, she's desperately chasing leads to find the father, and again, so she can kill Kilgrave. It's really not much of a plan. It's like, okay, I'm just gonna wait for any bit of. She's assuming he's dead. First of all, not really a smart plan.
I was about to say that's a very pessimistic outcome on her part. She's just like she's literally waiting for him to die. It's like no getting to him. It's like she's literally using the man's death as leverage to find Kilgrave.
Absolutely. And let's see. So she's throughout this episode, she's desperately trying to regain power over the Purple Man. Again, she had that taste, and now it's just this. What I love about this episode with Jessica is that it leads her to a lot of, again, the theme of the episodes have been kind of going up. There's been desperation, and there's been hope, quite literally. There's been a whole slew of things. But this episode, I see a lot of kind of misguidance and mainly a lot of burnout this episode. Jessica, again, she's pushing herself to the limits. It's affecting her dangerously. We're seeing her get really sloppy. She gets hit by a car, and she's getting ribs hurt. And this is one of my favorite Deadpool comics, by the way, that if people with healing factors, I mean, she doesn't have a healing factor, but, she super strength, she has kind of like a Captain America, she heals relatively quick. The point is, even if you can heal relatively quick, if you have bones that are knocked out of place, you want to get them in the right place, or else you're going to heal real like the Elephant Man. That's kind of the gag, especially Deadpool. There was a villain called Black Swan who really ripped all the bones out of his Deadpool's body, put them in a bucket. And one of my favorite characters had to put them back together again, and basically had this and warned him, "Oh, no, Mr. Wilson, listen, we gotta put all the bones. You're gonna heal like the Elephant Man." So I like that they're addressing the wrapping and saran wrap is real low tech medicine,
Yeah, and I really like this episode. Definitely one of the other things it goes back to is the straight up hardcore private investigation, like neo noir element of the show that we got in those first few episodes as well.
Yeah. I mean, she's physically and mentally wounded in this episode while she's going through all that.
Of course, but it's coming from such a heroic place. It's coming from just like, oh, hell no, Hope is dead, and so all bets are off. I need to find this guy. Absolutely, like, no questions asked. But then we see, how reckless it is in Dragon. I really do love that, the moment with the truck. I would say that would be registered. It's a sub-sandwich moment.
And if you want to kind of really look at the symbolism behind, she saved the kid from the car in the past. In this case, she knows she got hit by the car.
Exactly. Yeah.
Really want to look at it. But
I like my heroic sandwich moments with a dash of symbolism. So,
I think if you really want to. You bring up an excellent point that I want to dwell on for a moment, is that what's so great is like this is kind of the classic archetype of the heroes, that the hero will overextend themselves, like Batman will run himself to run the battery until it's completely drained. Superman, again, everyone will just kind of they'll overextend themselves until it's dangerous. So like Alfred has to put as like Horvals is to give him like 9 milligrams of like a bunch of tranquilizers and stuff just to knock him, get him to go to sleep. And Jessica's kind of in that vein. She literally, can't investigate, so Trish has to take her home so she can get some rest with her severe rib wounds. And speaking of which, I love that Trish in this episode, she serves a very good purpose. Again, Trish becomes more and more useful, especially this episode. This episode is kind of the, barring the last episode, this is kind of the most useful Trish becomes. Again, kind of the ending of her arc is that there's big foreshadowing for the superhero that Trish eventually becomes in the comics.
Sure.
This episode.
Yeah, I would say Trish is definitely, this is her MVP episode. This is the episode that is pretty much the Trish-centric episode of the season, in a good way.
Yeah, because, without Trish, she'd be a goner this episode.
Sure,
again,
sure.
she needs, Trish like using the saran wrap to let her get some rest. Again, like Trish is like kind of a more field-ready Alfred.
yeah, that's a good comparison, yeah.
Yeah. And again, you gotta imagine Jessica's trust is being challenged big time in this episode because we knew she had trust issues from the beginning. Trish was the only person that she trusted, but Simpson, on the other hand, again, that's got to throw her for a loop a little bit.
We'll get into all that.
Jessica goes through a lot this episode. She almost loses Trish, and Trish almost dies in a really awesome, terrifying moments.
Right.
But also, you gotta imagine throughout. We have some really good moments this episode. One, I want to highlight a moment, and also just kind of something I think was going through her head the episode. But we have this great moment where we see how tired and just how weary Jessica is. This is kind of a heroic moment in itself. It's just like the hero overextends. So the classic thing where she's just remembering the reason that kind of drives her to find like a lead on the Purple Man. She's so desperate for a lead on the Purple Man, she just sees a guy in a purple coat. She goes after him again.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we can kind of circle back around to that when we get to the Purple Man progression, because it just kind of shows the aftermath that Purple Man's left on her.
Let me play a little bit of this here, because it's such a great moment where she just kind of, it also brings back, you don't see it because we're kind of doing this through Murdoch vision, folks, so bear in mind. We do have we bring back the purple the purple lighting scheme, which we had early in the episodes. Again, we're kind of going full circle with these episodes coming to the end there. Again, she's like paranoid off the color purple and everything. It was a little something like this. You gotta imagine this episode where she's kind of looking for control. You gotta imagine she's thinking back to this moment here.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's by the end of the episode, she has all that stuff going on in her mind, and just at the end, it's kind of bittersweet in that, in the end, she's rewarded for she's rewarded in the end with a very frightening lead. She gets what she wanted, a lead on the Purple Man, but it's coming from the most frightening place of now your boyfriend's involved, aka Luke Cage, aka being ironic in that case.
Sure.
Luke Cage is now involved, and he's blown up. Luckily, he's Luke Cage, so he's perfectly fine. But she's rewarded, but at a cost. It's a mixed bag. But in the grand scheme, what's so kind of neat here is that Pearl Man has given her power, man. In a way, it's given her power, man.
Oh.
No, but seriously, at the end, so she's looking. She's absolutely powerless, and by the end, she now has an advantage, but also kind of someone at risk. So it's kind of a mixed bag. But again, she's not all the way confident as she was a few episodes ago. But hey, Luke's back! Hooray! But his bar will definitely need to file some insurance claims. So.
As well as get the bar a proper funeral, because that is one of the most sad deaths in season 1, I would say.
Yeah. Just forget Ruben having his head, sliced open in Jessica's bed, and then having his head torn off and dropped into a police. Forget that death. Come on, that kid. What did he do? He baked banana bread. Come on.
Okay, so Dragon, let's circle back around to Purple Man's progression, even though he's not in the episode.
But again, a presence is felt, and we've had episodes in the very beginning where he's done through flashback. He's not even in the episode.
Sure.
Let's see. So, so again, the Purple-Man's eerily missing right from the get-go. But again, the effect is felt. He's gotten in Jessica's head just like episode 1. He's in her head again. She's kind of having those hallucination moments of just like. The purple scheme's coming back, and she's so desperate to find me. It's kind of it's more eerie than it's been before, too, because now it's not even the memory of the Purple Man. It's just like it's purely she's remembering the aftermath of the thing I just played. She's just. It's how creepy is that? Like she can't even think of the Purple Man. She's so lost, and she can't find a trace of this guy.
Right. Yeah, and like you said, kind of seeing someone with a trendy purple suit, like not trendy guy, but someone with a trendy purple suit, and just kind of making that mistake. Dragon, I like how the episode literally, like, we start with the aftermath of the people with the nooses around their neck. I feel like that's a very strong kind of like visual. It's like just literally the episode starts just with Jessica covered in Hope's blood. It's a very, very, I would say that is probably the specific low of low points in the season is the start of this episode.
Quite possibly, yes.
So, like you said, I really like how we, Kilgrave is very much like a very fancy, well-dressed, giant shark just swimming in the ocean of New York.
Like, basically imagine if Jaws went to like an undersea big and tall. Like what if Mr. Potter had just kind of an undersea kind of really like a distant shark-like cousin that made suits and made kind of suits out of shark skin, but it was multicolored.
Oh God! There we go.
Anyway, so that absurd tangent aside, just to finish up with Permanent's impression real quick, is that I love that he has in this episode the reason Permanent's not in this episode because he doesn't have to, because again it's so scary in the concept is that he has Jessica exactly where he wants her. If she is completely powerless, he's holding all the power to the point where he doesn't even need to be in the episode to feel the effects. And again, Tiki, this is kind of I know we keep saying it kind of built to the crescendo here, but again, it keeps outdoing itself with the crescendo as I think about it. We saw that terrifying notion of Purple Man in episode 9, where he has everyone, where he has all the power without using his powers, right?
Sure.
Well, again, this episode, he doesn't have to use his powers in this episode at all because he's not in there. Well, again, we'll get to a thing later on, which is more of a technicality.
It's more, yeah, exactly. It's a technicality.
But the point is, he's not really in the episode, and again, using the powers. The point is, like, again, he's gotten to a point where he doesn't have to use his powers to still kind of manipulate people. So he has Jessica right where he wants him, without manipulating anyone directly in the episode, without working his magic, without trying to intimidate her or kind of get her into a headspace. The work is already, the damage has already been done. With again, it's so perverse about it is that he drove. Hope Schlottman did that to herself. He didn't control her to do that. It's
definitely.
Again, it's all aftermath of the Purple Man. It's just, again, aftermath is a big one. Another big theme of this episode. Aftermath is a horrifying notion. Again, it's just Jessica has been driven to her lowest point by the Purple Man without having to do anything. Mm-hmm. Except, again, just kind of all the stuff in the very beginning. Again, it's really just the stuff he did, years ago has really kind of driven the series from this point forward. And just,
sure.
It's basically just been there reminding her the whole season when you think about it. It's just like,
Dragon, like you said, it kind of comes full circle because at the beginning of the season she wasn't even completely sure if he existed, and then by this point when he's just lurking in the river, lurking in the ocean, like Jaws, it's like she knows. Not only does she know, like 1,000%, this guy is fucking real. This guy is not Tyrell Wellick in episode 11 of Mr. Robot, where we're unsure if he's real or not. This guy is absolutely real, and he just committed like the most terrific atrocity. Like he's just committed some of the most elaborate Kilgrave commands that we've seen in the series. So it's like she is definitely on her guard. I'm sorry, that was a much more elaborate metaphor than I.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny. Again, it kind of reminds me of Snyder Joker with the Purple Man. Just the concept of where he's at now. Where just you're so terrified when he's not around.
Sure.
It's just like, again, it feels so well written to me. It feels very like kind of Scott Snyder-esque. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so last thing I mentioned again, Scott Snyder's kind of like the top of the heap when I think it's kind of like good guys who write some fantastic stories and everything. Again, it's just one of the best writers to date. Anyway, so last thing to say about Birdman, again, we know he has plans for her via Luke. Again, just that Jaws-like text reveal is so terrifying. Of like, hey, she knows you, and you've been looking for me. Just like says, hey, been looking for me. It says, I found I ran into your boyfriend. Which now I want to make this clear. Last episode, towards the end, for what was coming up next, I guess I mentioned. I warned
Luke. Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. I told people episodes 11 and 12 kind of blend together for me. So I could have sworn the beginning of this episode was the beginning of the next episode. So
it's understandable. It's understandable.
I just want to make that
we do see him, and we do have that awesome moment where he's like, all in flames and everything, which is again kind of like a comic book-esque moment. So he's there. His presence is felt.
No, but I mean like the moment where he meets Luke Cage, which is mentioned here, and we're going to see that.
Oh, sure.
That's what I mean. Because I love how it directly follows the bar. So I mean, it directly follows the restaurant. So anyway, so following that's pretty much all the permanent progression we can really talk about. Because again, he's more, he's more like the aftermath of the Purple Man's progression in this case.
Sure. Okay, so let's get to Alias alliances. Starting with let's go Jessica and Trish in the present.
Yes. Right. So okay, let's go into the present here. We see Trish. Trish is holding Jessica together quite literally with like the saran wrap.
Symbolism.
But we see being there for Jessica also takes a toll on Trish. Remember that great moment where she says, Jessica, I need sleep too.
Yeah, exactly. Jessica's like, no, I can keep going. I don't. No, Jessica, I'm here. I'm driving you around. Like, seriously, we need to go.
We see Trish. She's a very valuable asset with, with kind of the food gourmet guy, and then her celebrity has cachet, which I like to remind you this. We've been distracted for a while now. Basically, it's been since episode 3, if I'm right. But remember, Trish has a radio show. Remember that, guys?
And that comes back in a fun way, but we'll get to that when we talk about Trish and Simpson.
Yeah. Just you guys love that her celebrity carries some cachet because not only does she have like a popular talk show. Again, she's a child she's a famous child star. She's got that going on for her, and she's not. It's just like she's
essentially a respectable Miley Cyrus.
I still I'm a little terrible when you mention it. Kind of sends a shiver down my spine thinking of Trish.
No, but it's absolutely true. It's like if Miley Cyrus didn't go off the deep end and she became like a respectable like TV personality after Hannah Montana, it'd totally be her.
I think the wig makes that comparison frightfully accurate.
Exactly. That's all I'm saying.
It really does. When you put it like that, it makes that comparison frightfully accurate. Again, by the way, I know we've mentioned this way back when we first had Trish, but we had Trish in the show. But I just want to mention I still love when I was at the Comic-Con earlier in the month. I remember I walked by and I saw kind of some of the old Trish, the old Patsy comics, which Trish came from.
Nice.
Which is kind of fun. You gotta imagine those would be selling a lot more since the show. The whole it's Patsy.
Right.
Okay, anyway, so let's see. So Trish, importantly, Trish's arc here, just kind of by comparison to Jessica in the present here. I like that Trish desires power to help Jessica again by being like Jessica. She wants that because I believe in the comics too. She has super strength too, so it's kind of again building that. I'm not sure if she's going to get that at the end of her arc, because given how bad that turns out for this episode.
Right.
I mean, we'll see if she develops a regiment or anything going forward. That's season 2 talk. My point is, I like that with Trish's Trish in comparison to Jessica. She wants to be there for Jessica, but again, she just has like some she needs sleep too, but she desires that power to help her, but she just doesn't have it. Which. In her attempt to get that power to kind of stand toe-to-toe with Jessica and kind of be like her mentor in a way, she is pushed to the limit just like Jessica is, and she almost dies. She is kind of the cautionary tale for Jessica. I love that Jessica learns through a lot of these we're going to be talking about in a minute here. I just love that. Again, I think there are a lot of layers with the character arcs. I think it's a really strong character arc. So let me just say that for all our guys here.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think this episode, it is one of the ones towards the end of the season that kind of blends together with the other ones. But in terms of the character exploration, for sure, it's got a lot of good moments.
Yeah, and I just love that, everyone kind of serves a role, with the exception of Robin. Everyone kind of serves a role. But seriously, everyone kind of serves a role here. And again, just Trish and Simpson both serve as cautionary tales for Jessica in this episode. Like, if she pushes herself too far, she gets too wrapped up in the Kilgrave pursuit, what could happen to her?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see anything in particular. So she, in the end, Trish becomes just like Jessica, which gives Jessica perspective in a way by the end of the episode.
Yeah, it's an interesting bit of dark foreshadowing to the hero that she eventually becomes.
Certainly. So he's moving on to Malcolm and Robin.
Everyone knows it's Robin.
Still doesn't quite work the same. There's not a lot to say about Malcolm. Malcolm really has like 2 or 3 scenes because
Malcolm, he's a reliable character. You know, he comes in for a couple scenes. He's pretty inspirational. He's kind of the voice of reason. You know, he's steady as a rock. You know, not much shaking that Malcolm guy.
Yeah, man. Like in the beginning here, he's kind of convincing the rest of the support group members, look, we got to hide the nooses because no one's going to believe us. What happened here? We got to do what Jessica says, the whole cover story thing. We got to, we got to get on. He's got to, placate the crazy lady.
Yeah.
And by the way, I just want to say the worst Robin. I think I discovered the worst Robin moment in the entire season.
Oh God.
It's in this episode.
It's not an incest moment.
I don't know. It's pretty up there. It's seriously. I mean, see, I bring this up because on one hand,
we shared a womb. It's not that.
I don't know. It's pretty. You're right. That's pretty bad. But hear me out. This is kind of bizarro. I say it might be the worst moment because it's a bizarro for best moment.
Okay.
So again, last episode we had her only. When I say best, I mean only good moment. By the way,
trendy guy thing.
Yeah, trendy guy. Great. Wonderful little incidental, maybe improvised moment. Works wonders. Right. Other side of that, this episode. You know what that moment is? I'll tell you. That moment, quite clear as crystal simply, is when she says, "Tablecloth girl." Tablecloth girl? A human being is dead, Robin. First of all, I'm going to go my mini rant here. Okay.
Go ahead.
First of all, Reuben, another human being, far more sympathetic than you, lady, died, and his corpse was mutilated, to say the least. Now, woman, freshly dead. Girl here, you doomed her by being there because you just made the situation worse for your little angry mob. But let's not get back on that horse. The point is, young lady, you watched. Yeah, but everyone watched, by the way, because again, that guy had a very accurate description of what happened. Stuck a broken glass stem in her neck, bled out, and you were saying, "Tablecloth girl."
Yep.
You can't give her the freaking dignity of just that poor girl. No, I don't care if you don't know her name, but even though you'd be stupid just not to hear Hope mentioned here and here again, especially by Jessica Jones cradling her head saying, "Hope, Hope, Hope."
Right, exactly. That's my whole thing about it. It's like there are obviously, it's not like the Hope thing is it's like literally we had it hammered in the whole last episode, like, oh, Hope is dead, the death of Hope. It's like I'm pretty sure we get her name. I'm sorry, go ahead.
And again, Robin also has a lot of really bad moments in this episode, too. She has at least 3 horrible moments. That's the king. That's the top of the heap for me. Secondly, and we'll move on after, we'll get back on track in a moment here. Secondly, she has the stupid runner paid off in just one horrible line where she says, I can't stand mental illness. You look in a mirror, lady.
You know what? That line strikes a chord with me so personally that I don't even want to get into it.
I know. So again, last one, then we'll move on. It's going to get worse for you, T. So you might want to cover your ears.
Oh God!
It's just then she endorses Malcolm to commit suicide. Come on.
Oh boy. Yeah. Fuck her.
What I'm saying,
fuck that character.
Right?
It's Dragon. You know what? I'm absolutely on your side in that. I really love Jessica Jones as a whole. I think it's a great series, but oh God, yeah, the Robin character is just there's so much about her that went wrong. It's
literally nothing about Robin. The only thing, again, we gave her the fair shot at the beginning. Remember, I gave her a fair shot. I said, crazy. Basically, she's quirky and supposed to represent kind of like everyone's a little different. It's a wacky build and that sort of thing, and that you felt for her that she lost a brother and Malcolm had to care. But I forgot rewatching him how bad and stinking putrid she was.
Yeah. I mean,
anyway, so moving.
Transitioning there.
Sorry, again, she's awful. Let's not dwell on name. But seriously though, the main reason we're talking about, her in relation to Malcolm is because she does bring out a really good moment in Malcolm.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, her stupid questions, very cynical kind of worldview and stuff, kind of gets Malcolm to kind of stake his claim because he's sick of her BS like we are. Just, okay, come on, lady, stop. You shut up for a minute. Let me set the record straight. Essentially, that's what Malcolm's mindset is. This episode, where he's basically you feel bad for Malcolm throughout the episode. I'm talking about the second scene, but the third scene also kind of connects to this. Is that Malcolm's is kind of doubting Jessica's abilities at this point. As again, the main point of Robin they're trying to get across, not successfully in my opinion, but they're trying to get across is that. I mean, it gets Malcolm there, but it's really kind of contrived how we get there, with Robin. But my point is, it's someone questioning Jessica's ability, and that thought lingering with Malcolm kind of agreeing with. That's the point of what they're trying to do, and I like that arc for Malcolm. I just wish, again, it wasn't through such a dumb character. Again, literally let an angry mouth in the previous episode that ruined everything. But seriously, again, just we see Malcolm he's joining Jessica in the darkest hour here. He's just questioning the faith and kind of his patron hero here is like he's questioning Jessica's abilities after seeing her so darn powerless and so morally defeated. Again, his optimism, which is about to play for a year, is just it's so. You feel bad for him because kind of all this like there has to be some good in the world, man. We have to have hope. We have to cling to something. It's being questioned. You kind of wonder if he's going in his apartment by the end because he sees lights in there, like, oh, man, I don't want to mess around, or because just like, you know what, Jessica's not giving me any answers. I don't even know if I should just stop by and see how she's doing. I don't know.
Sure.
The moment goes a little bit like this. Again, so I apologize in advance for like the snippet of Robin here, but we have to set up somehow. So. It goes a little something like this. Good Malcolm out here is the MVP for Malcolm too.
Anyone who can be brainwashed to gouge your eyes out.
It's not how Kilgrave works.
Well, I'm sorry. Are you a professor of Kilgravism?
I'm starting to think so.
What's gonna get us all killed?
Jeez, what is it with people?
At best, they're assholes. At worst, they're zombie assassins.
So what? It's just every man for himself then, huh? Everything I learned in church, all the praying that my mom did for the sick and the dying, all the community projects my dad worked on, basically everything that they taught me, it was all bullshit. They're idiots, and I'm just the only asshole in the world that didn't know.
He got duped on top. I thought me and Ruben were stronger together than alone, but he still got sliced up and thrown out anyway. No one can help anyone.
If I believe that, I'll kill myself.
Again, let's just say his side of that is like he's very confident he won't have to do that. Let's make that
Sure,
clear.
definitely.
That's what I cut out the part where she retorts like saying I won't.
Yeah,
stop
thank you. Just really insensitive about the mental illness there. I mean, that's not even mental illness. Just it's just. That's the thing, Dragon. It's insensitive. Just Robin as a character, and I have to give the writers some blame on this, because it wouldn't exist without the writers. It's like, why? Like, why would you even do some of this stuff? But I'm sorry, Dragon, being more positive, I do really like Malcolm's outlook. Like I said, he's a rock-solid kind of foundation of... I hate how this word is kind of like a foundation of hope in the series. You know what I mean?
But let me ask you this: if we didn't have a character named Hope, would using Hope as kind of the descriptive work be so bad?
No, absolutely not.
Just want to make sure, So, okay.
It's not even that we have a character named Hope. It's just that we literally spent a whole episode like, get it? Hope is dead. The loss of hope. Anyways.
Okay. Anyway, so I guess moving on to someone who kind of loses his hope.
Yes.
Trish and Simpson.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it starts out lighthearted enough. Like, one of my favorite little Simpson moments is where Trish is talking to him, and we have that woman playing the instrument on the talk show, and she just keeps going and going, and there's a lot of fun comedy involved in that scene, a lot of kind of a light moment.
Yeah. Again, Tiki, what's really doing it for me here is, again, Simpson on the rewatch, I found there was so many good layers to Simpson. Really did pay off in the long run with all this great stuff we're going to have in the air with this last appearance of his kind of full nuke formation. There's a lot of really good plot stuff with my set. But we'll get to that more so with kind of top shelf stuff. I'm just going to say what's kind of relevant to Trish and Simpson here, though. So we see again Simpson, much like Kilgrave and Jessica in this episode, he's kind of set back to one. So you think we saw that he's right back to one in the other episode where he was attacking. He accidentally attacked Trish, and then she kicked him out. lot of distrust there, and this is continuing that progression of, okay, what's the next step? Well, he makes amends for it, like he did in the beginning. He stops by the radio station. He's trying to, again, he's endearing. You kind of, there's something off. And so now I love there's kind of this almost like a Jaws-like tension of like, like more of like a Psycho-like tension with him, I guess.
I would say, yeah. I mean, I don't really want to use the Psycho comparison.
Well, I'm just saying it's like, someone that you know someone's a little, I guess more Bates Motel if you want to be. I don't know.
I don't necessarily.
My point is he's a time bomb. My point is he's a time bomb.
Sure.
So the point is, again, we're reminded of how the Trish Simpson relationship started, but with a time bomb element to it, which does add a lot of kind of Hitchcockian tension. Let's go with that.
He's Captain America with a dose of gamma radiation. Let's just say that.
Yeah, he could become Abomination any second. You don't know. He could.
Right.
Have spine protruding out of him and all that creepy
stuff.
Anyway, so again, I like that. Again, with that, Simpson, he's sincere in his quest for forgiveness from her, and his feelings for Trish. And again, it's important because he's deluded. Don't get me wrong, but again, he says he left the program, and he thinks he actually tried to leave the program, but that's just bringing out the more bad in him. So again, you see the progression. It's kind of started last episode big time, and here it really progresses that Simpson's humanity dissolves with the red pills and the Kilgrave fixation. They kind of feed into each other in a really negative way.
Definitely.
And Trish feels powerless when Simpson betrays her. Big time. Again, she's someone that she kind of put some trust in, some emotion in, and also again she kind of thought she could rely on this guy. Again, she involved him, so imagine her betrayals. Like now, Jessica's in a lot more danger because of her with this guy. And Simpson, because she's the one that vouched for Simpson. Like he's come on, Jessica,
right,
that sort of thing. Like, he's got boys.
Oh God. I'm just waiting for you to play the clip. That's why I'm not really saying anything. I don't want to step on your toes.
So, well, now I kind of have to play it.
I'm sorry.
So the point is, when he shows up at the radio stations, Simpson is really trying to avenge his boys, and that's a big motivation of why he's really compelled to kind of find Jessica again, real eerily.
Man.
Get his boys. Again, let's just remind the folks. That aside, he shows up at Trish's apartment later on. A really gruesome kill, by the way, when he shoots those two guys. What this ultimately builds to. But again, he's trying to make his case, trying to forgive this. But again, now it's much more a time bomb element because now he's been stalking her outside the apartment. Again, Tiki, I love this, the familiar hallway which we've been in. Again, when he actually made his plea to her, that's when he actually got through the wall, making amends with her. He's in that hallway, but now he's completely waiting there to spy on her. The minute she leaves, he's going to grill her about where's Jessica, so he can avenge his boys, as is exposited in this clip.
I just want to know where Jessica is. Why? My boys are dead because of her.
Because of Kilgrave.
Yeah, I'm gonna kill him. She just keeps getting in the way.
Jessica is the only one who can kill him, which is exactly what she's trying to do. You're the only one getting in the way.
Okay, now let's say this about Simpson. I mean, aside from the boys running gag, which was severely...
I'm sorry. It's like, I know we beat it into the ground, but I just love how it's so absurd that it's like they don't even get a name. It's just they're collectively the boys.
Yes, and here's the funny thing, Tiki. I can't remember. I've only seen Nuke really in kind of the Daredevil stuff when he's popped up. It hasn't been like kind of constantly or anything, but I want to say Nuke because he seems like such an absurdly designed character. It's kind of a cool absurd. Don't get me wrong, because he has an American flag on his face.
Mm-hmm.
He's a shirtless, muscle-bound guy with a flat top with an American flag on his face.
You know what? I think it could work, man. I'm season 2. Like,
hey, I'm not doubting. I'm just telling you, in the comics, I think they're kind of playing with. We can go a little off the reservation because we know where he's going to end up. We can kind of go there with like the whole dedication. I think that was the thought behind the boys thing. Then they kind of realized, well, wait. I think they realized we don't have time to do anything with the boys before we kill them, so we're kind of in a corner now because we built them up. Now they just get killed off, and now he's obsessed with avenging them. It's like we didn't really get to know the importance of the boys until
exactly.
Because the only thing we know about the boys is they kind of gave us the sin bin. That's about it.
Oh God,
it's the only thing we really got to know about them. And they got to say, "Oh, look, she can fly." It's pretty much the boys' role in the whole season.
Pretty much.
I have again. I want to say for like season two speculation, or for Daredevil season 3 speculation, but let's not dwell on that. Anyway, moving on. Almost done that. Trish Simpson here. Let me see it. So again, I think Simpson takes Trish back to that powerless feeling as I was getting on. And think about it, like I think the reason Trish really feels betrayed by Simpson, as we see in this episode, I think Simpson takes her back to that powerless position which she was in with her mother. Think about it.
Yeah, definitely, because that's the driving point of the episode is those flashbacks for sure.
And I think that makes that fight even stronger, Teague, is that, he reminds her of kind of the oppressive thing with her mother. That's why he's really, she's giving her all when she's fighting this guy. She feels so betrayed. And so, like, this is someone supposed to, care for me, someone I'm supposed to trust. I know they're manipulating me and using me like an object, or in this case, they're completely doing the opposite, trying to hurt something I love, in this case, Jessica. So she's really peeved. Again, you took away my power, you took away my trust, and I feel very betrayed. Taking it out. I
would wager to say, like, the main theme of this episode is abusive relationships, and we explore that from two different angles with her mother and with Simpson. So that's an interesting kind of counterpoint.
Well, last thing I want to mention again, I think this episode is full of great parallels, which again I'm going to say mostly for Top Shelf. One I want to address here, but before we move on, Simpson and Trish, think about it. As a character, the reason they really work together is that why they were paired off together. I think the reason behind this, the idea behind it, is that, think about it, they share a similar desire, to be like Jessica and stop Kilgrave. They both want the power of Jessica. That's why they're Starfist sidekicks on the side, and they both have a very similar goal set. They want power, again, not in an evil way at first, just they want power like their friend Jessica, so they can make a difference, so they can help, mainly to stop Kilgrave. Kilgrave has victimized them, took control of my friend, and took control of me. Understandable. Again, both on the same side. And as their arcs progress, the thing that blinds the two of them, the one is blind, the revenge blinds Simpson, and the desire for power almost kills Trish.
Sure.
So again, they both kind of go down that path. They both represent paths Jessica could take. Both of them, they're kind of no-goes.
Right.
So, okay, moving on to last alliance before we move on to top shelf stuff would be Jessica and Trish in the flashback. Let's kind of mainly mention kind of the introduction to it, though.
Yeah, because there's definitely both our heroic sandwich moments come from the flashback as well.
Pretty safe to say
the
strongest stuff in this episode is the flashback stuff.
Yeah, definitely. We can talk about that a little bit more with top shelf stuff. But like you were saying, I love the way this episode opens with Trish's mother, like, "Oh, Patsy's here to save you, Jessica." It's so creepy. It's so unnerving.
I know, and again, I love. Again, there's more top shelf stuff. I'm going to mention briefly. I don't like the whole thematic idea of save. Like the framing device of that word of save me, Jessica. Again, it's like Jessica reluctant to be a hero, and it's being thrown in her face a lot this episode.
Sure.
Like Patsy will save you, and in the end, Jessica saves Patsy.
Right, but I mean, I feel like they kind of save each other in a way, or at least,
Absolutely.
So I really do feel like it's kind of an interesting little parallel that we get with them. And also just another thing to bring up with their arc in the episode from the flashbacks is it wasn't just instant friendship. It was like, she was really kind of against this whole idea. And, I can't really specifically blame her for being against the idea of just taking in the orphan for publicity. I mean, sure, it's a nice gesture, but she knows it's like she knows how two-faced her mother is, and the fact that it's literally the only reason they're doing this is for the good press. And so it's not that she dislikes Jessica as a person, she's just very uncomfortable with the idea of kind of exploiting the tragedy, which is exactly what the mother's trying to do.
Yeah, and again, they're both victims of Dorothy in that way. Again, building the Patsy empire, building the Patsy name. Dorothy was, in a way, Tiki, if you look at it, this is going to be kind of a weird comparison, but Dorothy was kind of the proto-Kilgrave. She had all the power and the control.
No, you're right.
And Jessica, appropriate enough, she was immune to it. In the end, she was immune to the control, and she had the strength to fight her off. And we'll get to that later on in a really awesome way. But again, this really protected and inspired Trish to, again, want to live up to Jessica. That's really formed their friendship and all that sorts of stuff. They really bonded over their tragedies, reluctantly at first, as you said. And again, oddly enough, it starts off as kind of as like a form of blackmail, and until Jessica's real, just to build up for when we talk about it later, until Jessica's first real heroic action.
Definitely.
Okay, so let me play this, and then we'll transition to our next segment. All right? Because again, all that the great stuff in the first flashback is really well done. Again, it's like Jessica awakening from a nightmare. So again, I love that we kind of open the episode from, tragedy. Because remember how it opens with this scene, and then we pick up with the aftermath of the bar. It's like Patsy will save you, and then the aftermath of the bar. It's real effective.
Sure.
Cut in that regard. But still, again, we start off like Jessica. Tiki, let me say this. You're absolutely right. This is Jessica's absolute lowest point in the season.
Okay.
You're absolutely right, because again, the way we start this episode clinches that it has to be her lowest point.
Definitely.
All right, so it goes a little something like this.
So there, it's fine. It's not fair. I don't even know her. Just when I see school, I don't want to do this. And I don't want to cover up for a student's girls. I thought a fire was a team of one. It started because you. It's not the first time. It's the past time. And that's the headline of every tabloid. I've got to change the Patsy conversation. Taking in your little friend will be a start. Some photo op. She looks dead. She's awake sometimes. She's just not making new memories yet. Well, you can be the one to say welcome back when your whole family's dead. The doctors will talk about. You stop messing with your ring. They're gonna be here any minute. It's hell. Mom, look. She's awake. Hi, Jesse. I know you must be confused right now, but everything's gonna be okay. Patsy's gonna save you.
Oh god, it's so chilling in many parts there. I mean, the thing, it's so heartbreaking. I mean, it's so well cast, by the way. The kids seem so much like Jessica, and
Definitely.
We've seen Jessica before, and again in the aforementioned Count the Car accident, and the whole, the Kill Grave episode, in episode 8. But she and Trish, I mean, they're so well cast, so you can see the actors, fully grown inside the performances. They're absolutely what you want, and it's so heartbreaking that Trish sarcastically kind of mentions like the breaking the news to her, and the fact that Jessica, it's from Jessica's POV, and she's getting this news. You see the tears falling from her, kind of her coma awakened eyes, and just like, oh, I've got to find her family. That's so tragic. You don't want to find out that way. It's so,
oh yeah, definitely,
so heartbreakingly sad. And then you get this money hungry kind of like, hey Jesse, Patsy's gonna save you. Don't worry, we're gonna take you. It's like, what if Bruce Wayne took you and Dick Grayson just for the publicity? Hey, hey, I'm an orphan. You're an orphan. Hey, we can make a few bucks off this. Add to our billions. Yeah, that'll be good press, right? No one will think I'm Batman if I take in like an orphan, right? Right, it'll be like Mr. Mom or something, right? No one thinks of Mr. Mom and Batman.
Okay, I'm sorry, that's too good. That's too good.
Okay, so let's move on to top shelf stuff.
Yeah, let's crack open the eel bottle and move on to some top shelf stuff. Muzzy eel strength.
Let me first applaud the cleverness of the title, because I think we might have neglected to mention that in the beginning. I've got the blue ones.
Oh, it's not. I've got the blues.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the actual line. You're right. I've got the blues. But that's what I was getting at, though. I love that. It's very appropriate. It fits in with that line. And not only you're absolutely right. That Jessica's lowest moment here is reflected by the title. She's got the blues, most definitely.
Sure. Also, kind of playing with the color. You can't have purple without blue.
Yes, and it's also, it's great on 3 levels. You got that. You got the level that Trish needs the blue. She needs the blue pills so she can she can come down. For basically, it's the only thing kind of heal her for taking those red pills. And lastly, again, you're right about the whole you need red and blue to make purple.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, I mean, we already kind of mentioned a lot of stuff. I think the whole fact that Kilgraves is pretty much entirely absent from the episode, except in text message form, very briefly. But still, his presence is very much felt.
Yep, yes, indeedy. Again, the young actors are excellently cast.
Yeah, and just in general, the flashbacks are. I would say the flashbacks in this episode are. I don't think this episode's one of the best of the season. I definitely think it's kind of a come down, calm before the storm after those last 3 awesome episodes that we got. But I will say that the flashbacks in this episode are probably among the best scenes in the series so far.
Oh yeah, and also again, I love these little touches I noticed rewatching these. I thought were really mind-blowingly cool. I love that they get trapped in the bathroom, like when they kind of got to know each other in the flashback.
Mm-hmm.
They go and they really kind of get she kind of super strength is involved in the bathroom scenes in both, but in a different way.
Sure.
Basically, it's kind of a reverse thing. It's kind of a reverse thing instead of Dorothy, it's Nuke.
Oh God.
But yeah, it's flashbacks are infinitely powerful, especially coming out of Jessica's origin. The saving runner, as I mentioned, that's pretty good. Let me mention this though. So here's the big thing I really took away from this episode. I thought on the rewatch it was probably my best thing I'd say about it. Again, all the parallels and the thematic kind of parallels and payoffs of Simpsons Nuke arc. So let me go through that. I want to just compare them to a few paralleling arcs here, which I'll end off and talking about Jessica, so I can play a little clip. Let me start here. So, I mean, basically, you can compare Simpson to 4 characters, just showing kind of like how he parallels these characters in a way. And that Simpson, Simpson and Trish, as I mentioned a little bit before, they're both victims of controlling people. That's brought them together. They were brought together by the Purple Man. They bonded together. They aided Jessica. Both tried to be like Jessica until one wanted to replace her. So again, he literally wanted too much. He wanted to literally become Jessica Jones, where Trish looks up to Jessica Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Kilgrave and the parallel arc to Kilgrave with Nuke. So they both sought revenge, and again, revenge is kind of a thematic thing we have done in episodes beforehand. And our revenge kind of leads our characters to doom, like with Jessica and Kilgrave and everyone. Kilgrave and Nuke, they both kind of sought revenge. They started kind of Kilgrave a little less noble, but they kind of Kilgrave thought of it as noble, like a noble romantic gesture. But Simpson started off as kind of a noble looking guy. He's just trying to help.
Sure.
And in the end, they both kind of turned dangerously obsessed. Again, kind of like idealistic. Let's just say idealistic. It's a little better than noble. They both kind of started idealistic, and then it just kind of turned really darkly obsessive. And progressively with Simpson, and the most awesome yet terrifying thing about Nuke's arc in comparison to Kilgrave is that he started as a direct puppet of Kilgrave, and by the end of his arc, he is indirectly manipulated by Kilgrave, and again, his worst fears come true. He is an indirect puppet of the Purple Man again.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of how his story kind of unfolds in a really kind of poetic manner. Let's see. Captain America. I want to compare him to Captain America for a moment here, with the Dark Captain America comparison, just for a moment. I love that thing of that. This parallel does really works well. He starts off. They both start off as kind of good patriotic men when you think about it.
Oh yeah,
we saw.
Definitely.
Yeah, at the beginning, Simpson, he was an endearing guy. I remember he was really concerned over Trish. He thought he killed a woman. He directly, he was a cop. Again, he was a soldier turned cop. He directly, wanted to make sure. Oh my God, I want to make sure I didn't kill anyone. Otherwise, I got to face the music. He's terrified that he might have killed someone. That's a good guy right there. And he goes out of his way. We're rooting for him. He gives Trish the gun, all that stuff. He's endearing. He's sweet. We root for the guy.
Yeah, and I think Kilgrave kind of he was kind of like a pre-support group way of kind of relating. Simpson, I'm sorry, I fucked that all up. It's kind of a pre-support group way of relating kind of the damage that Kilgrave can do not only to Jessica, but we see Simpson kind of in the aftermath of his command, and it was a very brutal command that he had to go through. So
yeah, and importantly, he's always sincere with Trish. I mean, Steve Rogers was not. If there's one word to describe Captain America, sincere is absolutely one of those words.
Definitely,
and wanting to help. I mean, he very much wanted to help the effort. Captain America's whole arc is in the MCU has benefited off from the get-go. In First Avenger, he wanted to help his country. He went through, kept falsifying all the information, did everything in his power so he could help.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, uses, and here's the difference. Here's where they kind of, in the parallels, kind of start to show like kind of a negative side. The dark Captain America is that he uses his power irresponsibly by choice, for selfish revenge. And again, it's over kind of the claimed greater good, and he hurts his friends, something Steve Rogers never do. Again, he's kind of hurting his. I keep going back to this moment. It gets so weird when I think about it, kind of, because the Captain America thing's been building since the beginning. Because he looks a little bit like kind of like a more muscle bound kind of Steve Rogers from the get go. Again, kind of a darker.
Captain of course, America. The blonde hair, blue eyes thing going for him as well.
Yeah. And again, the patriotism thing, the whole
sure.
Eventually nuke lands with that thing. But I mean, just. Again, I think I keep going back to the moment where Earth Sanjay pointing to Steve Rogers' chest. You're saying, "Be a good man, stay a good man." Again, he starts off as that good man, and by the end, he doesn't use his power. He uses his power for what he thinks is the greater good, but not the actual greater good. He's just not remaining a good man. That's where it just boils down. He started off good, but he did not stay good like Ernst Hein would have wanted. So that's why he is, by definition, not a Captain America. But he's pretty. Like, if Captain America went a darker path, if Captain America became the Red Skull, that's essentially where he falls in the middle of that.
Yeah, definitely.
The last thing, just to kind of get us back on track, Jessica. So again, with Jessica, they both start off. They're victims of Kilgrave. They're driven by revenge. Only Simpson has reached Jessica's. This to me blew my mind when I really thought about this. Is that Simpson reached Jessica's arc before she did. Think about it. He's been saying from at like a middle point, I guess. He was saying, "Let's kill him." Like after episode 5, well, he's on board of like, okay, let's store him in here, and then we'll get the evidence you need, and we'll put him away. He realizes that's impossible. So like episode, I want to say 7 onward, then he's on the bandwagon. Let's kill him, and Jessica's not there yet because again, wants to keep him alive. So he's reached the point where Jessica's at now. Like, yeah, I'm with you. Let's kill him. But again, it's too late for Simpson. Now he's lost his boys.
Right.
And again, it's like he's arrived there before her, but at the cost of losing perspective, which now Jessica has gained thanks to him. Again, it's like blind strength kind of destroying everything, and that's kind of the threat that Jessica could have gone down. She could have gone down just like blind, like the things she. I'm sorry, I'm losing my words here. Sorry. But I mean, at the beginning, Jessica, she was just kind of using her super strength blind to kind of get things done. She's serving like warrants and stuff to guys, and like the court summons and everything by grabbing the guy's card and just using her super strength blindly to serve her own needs. And Simpson by the end, he's kind of doing it, just using super strength blindly to serve one mindless goal of like, I want to kill Kilgrave and get revenge. You're in the way. Again, that's where he lands.
Definitely.
So we do get a really awesome, tense scene between the two of them, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, I don't have much to say just because I think you're kind of picking up on a lot of stuff that I wasn't really privy to or I hadn't really looked into. So props for you for kind of coming up with all that, but I don't really have much.
Do I sound anything like Robin? Do I sound crazy?
No, not at all. Not at all.
I just want to make sure I don't sound like I'm rounding off conspiracy. I think there's
it's just for me. I just kind of I didn't take Kilgrave. I'm sorry. For some reason, I keep saying Kilgrave and I want to say Simpson. I'm sorry about that. I didn't take Simpson as seriously. But you're absolutely right, Dragon. There's a lot of parallels in this episode that I really wasn't picking up on. So props to you because it's very illuminating. But like I said, I don't have a lot to say because it's just kind of stuff you're just bringing to the forefront when I didn't really pay attention to a lot of it. So. Yeah,
because I mean, if you really look at it just in the grand scale of it, is that Purple may not be in this episode, but again his puppet is, and again his puppet that Purple Man's gotten so good manipulating people, he doesn't even have to be in the episode to manipulate this guy to do his bidding for him.
Definitely.
So again, let's just want to play the scene between Jessica and Simpson, really tense scene, and another top shelf quality. But I guess before we move on, is that I love to have kind of like a Godfatherian moment where in The Godfather, anytime something's about to go really wrong, there's like a little detail that just tells you something bad's coming. Like a flickering light or the oranges, anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, it's this really subtle detail. I really loved it. I mean, it's subtle but noticeable where he says good twice, where just saying, she's not good. Like, she's not like us. She's too good. And with the good, Jessica raises an eyebrow, and she absolutely knows. She suspects that Simpson's up to something. She puts it together. She's a smart PI, but then, okay, clinches. This guy's on something. He's whacked out of his mind. He's But he's going to do his imitation of the Hulk here. I'm not know it. It's like anyway, so it goes a little something like this. Really kind of nice scene here. I'm going to play just the beginning of it before the fight, because obviously I don't want to play a whole Murdoch Vision version of the fight.
Hey, Jess. All right. Well,
What doesn't kill us makes us stranger.
stronger.
You say so. Where's Trish?
I convinced her to stay behind. She agreed.
Yeah. Keep her from harm's way.
Yeah, well, she's not built for this sort of thing. She's not like us. Her heart's too good. Good.
So where's Kilgrave?
Well, I need a guarantee that he's gonna die.
He sealed that deal when he killed Clemens. You don't look surprised.
I heard about it from the precinct. He was a great detective.
Did they say how he died?
Fire. Still looking out.
Actually, I saw the coroner's report. It was a bullet to the head.
That's a mercy.
Kilgrave must have shot him. Had someone else shoot him.
I mean, believe me, if you really broke down any of those lines, it sounds like such kind of a noir detective thing. One guy knows something, the other guy in the room doesn't. And I love how every line, there's a bit of character in there. Because remember when he said that was a mercy? That just instantly is an admission of guilt. Like, yes, I shot him. But again, in his own deluded way, that was him doing a mercy. I'm going to shoot him before I light him on fire to cover my tracks. See, if he was a monster, he would have lit him on fire. So again, I like that there was a bit of a. He has his own deluded, his Steve Rogers morale in a way, his own weird moral code of like, you know what? I'm gonna kill this guy, this innocent guy. I'm gonna shoot him, but you know what? By shooting him, I do not subject him to death by immolation. So.
But the one thing I have to add, Dragon, is I do think all this that you're pointing out is very good. Kind of build up, lead into what I assume might be one of the main storylines of season 2.
Right. Or maybe another Marvel Netflix series. Just think about it. By the end of this episode, just I guess to finish out the Simpson talk, I guess. But Simpson is taken back by the Kozlov unit. So I mean, he's going to be in the battlefield, which that could, for all we know, I mean, it could be Daredevil season 3. It could be it could be Defenders. Honestly, I think it might be Defenders.
Possibly.
Either wait.
Either way, it's a good setup.
I remember my theory though. I know what show absolutely he should show up on. Yeah. If it's not Daredevil or Defenders, again, Daredevil I lean to because of that one issue where he shows up and meets Daredevil. It would definitely be the Punisher show we got coming up.
Yeah, I could see that.
Nuke versus Punisher, that would be awesome.
I just think it'd be an interesting way to kind of deal with him in a more kind of antagonistic light within Jessica Jones season 2, because honestly, I feel like Jessica Jones is going to kind of struggle a little bit. I mean, I know like in terms of progressing the plot forward after season 1. So
sure. I mean, anything's possible. Again, they can bring me up many times as long as I do good stuff with them.
Yeah. Okay. So sandwich.
Yes. Hungry.
All right. I'm hungry for some heroics in the heroic sandwich moment. Yay.
So you take us through your moment first.
Okay, so like we said, folks, I feel like our moments are very properly intertwined. They're both flashback moments. My moment is more symbolic, and your moment is definitely more kind of the heroic side of things. But I really love the moment where Jessica's in the bathroom. And Dragon, I won't get into specifics, but I've definitely had moments like this in my family where there's specific people that I won't get into that are kind of causing a fit. And, all you can do is just kind of listen to it and just kind of be helpless about the situation. So I feel like they captured that element of it incredibly well. I love the build-up, how she first breaks the brush and then breaks the sink. And Dragon, probably my favorite moment of this whole segment is just the whole image of her holding the sink. And again, last episode I chose her in the yellow dress on the horse as my heroic sandwich moment. I feel like this is kind of like in line with that. I like my symbolism. I like my comic book imagery. And I feel like this is very much in line with that. And then we get Trish and Jessica kind of like, again, we kind of went over it with the alliances part, but they're kind of cementing their friendship, and in a very kind of demented sort of backwards mirror way where Jessica's like, okay, don't tell anyone about this power, especially your mom, because we all know how horrible her mom is, and I won't try and save you. And Dragon, I don't know, there's just something like like chilling and poetic about the whole idea of like Jessica striking the bargain to not save Trish. That's like I say, it's, I don't know, it's not exactly heroic, but it's very complicated. It's very complex. But like I said, the main reason I have this as my sandwich moment is just kind of like the straight out of a comic book panel image of Jessica kind of raising the whole sink above her head and everything like that. I really appreciate that kind of imagery in the show. So yours is definitely the more upfront sandwich moment. So let's just transition right into that.
Well, let me play your moment.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
What happened to your shoulder? Are you kidding me? You're hurt, are you? You're holding a 150-pound chunk of marble over your head. How did it happen? I got hit with a People's Choice Award. I don't know. You're a freak. I mean that in a positive way. Can you find a nicer word? Gifted. Yes. I broke a brush earlier too, but that might have been regular. I have to tell Mom. No. God, no. You can't hide this. I can't, and your mother is a dangerous nut job. She just stabbed you. And if she knew that I had something that she could exploit too. No. Did the car accident cause it? I have no idea. If you tell anybody, I'm going to tell everybody they are pathetic victim of child abuse. Don't you dare. They make a Lifetime movie about it. Stolen child of the Patsy Walker story. They'd be saving you. Shut up! No. Then it's a standoff. Okay, deal. I don't tell, and you don't save me.
Let me mention a few quick things here. One, do you think they make the awards less sharp in the grand scheme, don't you?
I'm sorry. I love the dark irony of her getting stabbed by the People's Choice Award.
Yep. Not the Emmy.
No, oh God, and oh Jesus Christ.
Well, let's not bring back Dark Knight memories, and that was a dark case.
Of course. I mean, I could literally like grab it and flip to that.
I know,
but I don't want to. I know, I won't.
But please, as much as I want Freiheimer to win Emmy, I don't want people to chuckle on that.
Oh God, oh.
Seriously, that could be dangerous. Seriously, folks, don't throw Emmys or People's Choice Awards for that matter. But I mean, the Emmy has more prestige.
Well, I'd say the Emmy not only has more prestige, but it's definitely like the
more lethal.
I'd say it's the best award to turn into a weapon. If you need one award as a weapon, if you're just like a multi-talented Hollywood actor who has it all, they have the Grammy, they have the Emmy, they have the Golden Globe, the Oscar. Definitely go for the Emmy. Definitely go for the Emmy.
See, here's what would have saved the comedian in Watchmen. If he had won an Emmy, he could have used that as a weapon that would have stopped his attacker. But however, that book in that film, and however you want to quantify it, would have been ended far earlier than you would have expected.
Tonight, a comedian defended himself in New York and didn't die at all, and everything's fine. The end.
The power of Emmys. Anyway, let's see. So I know I wouldn't have helped Hollis Mason. I know that much.
Oh God.
It really would not have helped. That would have actually ended. Actually, in the grand scheme, would have put him out of misery faster. So. Anyway. So yeah, you're right though. Again, it's a great kind of counter message there. Again, Jessica's arc as a hero again would start off not being a hero, like saying don't save me. And I'm just so I can set up my moment here. I just want to say
sure.
I was rewatching. I forget how much this really hit home with me. Is that child abuse is really it's a gruesome thing. It's a horrible thing. When I hear these stories all the time, you just want to be deep down. I'm absolutely on Kevin Smith's side of this 100%. You want to. In your mind, you're punching the guy. You hate child abusers. You really do. It's like there's never a scenario where that's okay. And it's like I've watched the Incredible Hulk, and they tackle child abuse. Bill Bixby hulks out and he throws the abusive parent around. I get a kick out of that, Tiki. I don't know what to tell you. I just really call me sick. Not as sick as Robin, but call me sick. But I mean, is it wrong to kind of, as a kid? I thankfully I've never been through this position. I feel sympathy for anyone who has.
Mm-hmm.
If you have an abusive parent, I think it's every child.
It's more of a step parent on my side, but like I said,
the point is, I think it's everyone who's in that situation's wildest fantasy to kind of have the strength, especially if you're a kid, especially if you love superheroes. I would imagine if anyone loves superheroes, they definitely have this. I just think about the Incredible Hulk thing. It's like if you had someone like that to look up to, you want to have that power in that situation, just kind of fight off your attacker. Of course, you get the emotional stuff attached to that, but still, just in the moment, you want to think that when the chips were down, you actually, you could stand up for yourself or someone, someone in danger, like Trish in this case.
Sure.
I hear stuff like what happened with the Dean Trip and so many others, and it just makes me. I always kind of what Jessica does here always kind of hits a chord. It's really hard to express. I don't want to get too personal. I'm just saying, always you want justice in the world. And this is the great bit where you have the abusive parenting, and it's not just like a physical abuse thing. Aside from the People's Choice Awards and stuff, but don't get me wrong, it's still sick and wrong. But I mean, Dorothy Walker. I mean, she's doing psychological abuse and the whole gambit. Like you're trying to make her throw up because she ate too much pizza. I don't want to call you a fatsy. I don't want to hit this woman. I'm thankful that Jessica did. Absolutely, it's a serious thing, folks. It's a fantasy come true. And I think what I love most about this thing is that when you look at the grand course of the series, this is Jessica's first heroic moment, and it's her first heroic moment is saving her friend, who initially wasn't her friend. They were bonding over blackmail. It wasn't exactly kind of like a kind of a Charlie Brown Linus dynamic they had going for them.
Sure.
But I gotta tell you, my God, it's such a fist pumping, like, yeah! Jessica's first hero moment, and she took the sacrifice of now this crazy lady knows your powers. But my God, you saved her. You did the right thing, Jessica. As an instinct too. It's such a great moment. I'm gonna play it for you here, folks. I've hyped it up long enough. Just bask in it, Murdoch vision or no, just bask in kind of the awesome hero-ness of it all.
Uh-huh.
Stop it! Never asked you. You know that. I want to call you Betsy. Stop it. Get out. This is private. Go. Just get out. This is family business. You're not part of any family. You promised not to see me. I can't help it. Dear God. Now she knows.
And powerful stuff, folks. I love that it has these great kind of character shockwaves to the show, because then that leads Trish to go the superhero route with Jessica. They kind of bonded over that moment. You're going to be there for me. You're going to put yourself at risk for me, and I should do the same. Again, it's one of the, honestly, if I had to make a top 5 moments of Jessica Jones, that'd probably be one of these. It's such a kind of
I definitely say top 5 for sure. I like I said, I think the flashback stuff in general is some of the best stuff we get in the season.
It just shows it's in her DNA to be here, whether Jessica rejects that or not. We see she said, I couldn't help myself.
Mm-hmm.
That she is a hero in her DNA there, and you root for this kid. That's a really powerful. It kind of caught me off guard how much I was really kind of wrapped up in this moment rewatching. It's probably definitely my favorite moment in the episode.
Sure.
I remember I do have the one technical command coming up, so let's move on.
Okay, the technical Kilgrave command, just as a technicality more than anything else.
You explain it, I'll play it.
Okay, well, like we said, folks, it's a little bit ambiguous. It's a little bit kind of like what the hell happened in the moment, but we do unfortunately get the loss of one of the most memorable characters of Season 1, that being Luke's bar, not the Cage. That's what we hope to see during Luke Cage, but just Luke's.
Maybe he has to rebuild at some point, right?
It will be back. It will be back, and it will be missed. Just seriously, that bar was, like I said, I just think it's very effective. It's kind of like, I equate it to like the death of the RV in Breaking Bad. It's just like, no, that was an iconic fixture of the show. How can you just destroy it?
And remember, whether we're going to see this explored in Luke Cage or not, again, he and Reva built that bar. It has basically, this is Reva. Definitely. All he has left of Reva goes up in smoke here.
But point being, we don't necessarily know if this is a command or not. It's definitely going to be explored next episode, but it's the only thing we got, folks, so let's play it.
At the very least, Kilgrave set up the explosive, so he's
Definitely.
somewhat responsible. Whether it was like, anyway, it's up in the air, but here's how it goes, folks. The reintroduction of Luke Cage. Or more bombastically, emerges on fire.
Luke!
And Luke is very appropriately bummed out, seeing his bar up in flames.
Oh, yeah. And I really do love the image of Luke on fire as well. It's a really cool visual.
Yeah, I get that. I get so excited just seeing Luke Cage appear. Like, oh my god, this guy's so cool.
Okay, so
I don't know what it is. I am so looking forward to Luke Cage. You know, it's going to be so good. I'm sure.
Sure.
So let's see. Moving on to
alleyway evidence. Let's go between the buildings. Oh, yeah.
There's not a whole lot here, so we just want to go by relatively. Basically, main one, Simpson becoming Nuke. That's a biggie.
Sure, of course.
Nuke back in Kozlov's unit, despite the rejection, despite him literally shooting people trying to bring him back to Kozlov. He's still involved, which again makes me think if not Defenders or Daredevil, then absolutely he's got to be in Punisher. I'll bet you all the money in the world he's going to appear in the Punisher show at some point.
I mean, my money would still be like we'd see him and have a big arc in Jessica Jones season 2, but I definitely think we'll see him in Punisher as well, for sure.
I kind of like that he doesn't necessarily need to be in Jessica Jones season 2. No, he's welcome to show up. I'm just saying I like that. You know, he's has arc and he could be kind of one of those connecting characters like Claire in all the Netflix shows where you could have another character appear in not every show, but at least in another show.
Right.
Anyway, moving on. I mean, you get more before I continue?
No, not on my end.
Now we got Trish and Jessica's bond, which again is going to be explored big time in the finale.
Mm-hmm.
We see Dorothy's wrath, to quote the Purple Man.
Oh yeah,
wrath. Jessica's purple PTSD comes back.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. So Trish recovering from the pill. I mean, she's in the hospital by the end of this. I forget if we pick up with that in the next episode or not. But the point is she's taking a pill and it did not go well. Just a little reminder of how well it did not go. Let's play the emotionally impactful moment. Or I'm serious. It's played really scary. I love the setup line, by the way, because it's not in the clip, but the setup line I think is so terrifyingly realistic. Where Simpson warns Trish that if you take a red pill without being acclimated to it, without having taken it a few times with all the other you take the white and the blue of the red, white, and blue pills.
Red, white, and blue, motherfucker. I'm sorry.
Particularly the blue, because the blue brings you down. I mean, emergency. Again, the idea is the biochemical super soldier serum. Just to recap that. My point is. He says to her, your adrenaline, you'll have super strength and you'll have adrenaline pumping and everything, but your brain won't be able to tell your lungs the work.
Mm.
And we see that unfold. Like after such a happy moment of like, I'm doing great, Jessica. Yeah, is this how you feel? And then it was a little stuff that I'm not doing kind of a horrible impression. Now let's hear it from the wonderful actress herself, Rachel Taylor. So goes a little something like this.
Giving me up pumps. Is this what it's like for you? Like all the time? Just let me slow down. I can't. I'm too psyched. I'm too. Trish, say something. I can't. Trish. Trish, don't do this. Trish, are you okay? Trish, breathe. Trish. I need an ambulance. Right away. 45 West 46th Street, fifth floor. Hurry! They're on their way. Just don't do this. Trish!
Horrifyingly realistic, folks.
Oh yeah.
Last thing I want to say here is in connection to that is very important. Is that Trish enjoying the power of the red pill, like you just heard, that definitely sets up, it kind of pays off for the first spoke in the journey here, I guess, is that throughout the whole season she's been learning self-defense and all that sort of stuff, and being handy with the gun, all security measures and everything, because eventually she will become the character Hellcat.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like a vigilante,
Sure.
kind of a street fighting vigilante. Maybe again, it'd be kind of neat if she crosses over with maybe a future season of Daredevil. Kind of get they're both in the same town. Remember, they're both in Hell's Kitchen.
Of course.
I'm saying not directly, perhaps. I'm saying, what if she was inspired by Daredevil to come up with the costume? That'd be kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm just throwing it out. Their point is,
Yeah.
that's kind of spur of the moment little thing right there. My point is, Hellcat in the future, is whether it's with super strength of more pills or not, she'll.
I'm still kind of on the side where definitely she can show up at Daredevil. I still want to see it more explored. Jessica Jones season 2.
I know that I'm saying that in 2 they can mention having a reference of oh yeah, they can mention Daredevil and that's where she gets inspiration, but all in Jessica Jones season 2. That's what I mean. It's I'm saying it's like how we've had mentions here and there, like in the next episode. I guess the last bit of alleyway evidence here is that Daredevil does get kind of named. It gets alluded to in the next episode, I believe. So I'm just saying, a bit of references here and there.
Mm-hmm.
I saw this Daredevil guy. He has a costume on. He's making a difference with his fist. Maybe I could do the same, Jessica. What do you think? Now I have a costume. Okay.
All right, that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, where the hell is my card? I'm sorry.
Is this your card?
No, but let's move on to some. I'm sorry, I literally don't have my card on me. I'm sorry. Let's move on to some vital thoughts. Vital thoughts. Envision the card in your mind.
Well, do you remember what the card says?
Oh, I'm sorry. The card says, last call, everybody. Last call. That's right.
Boy, okay.
Last call.
Well, because you forgot the card, you go first.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, Dragon, I definitely think this episode, I should probably go back and watch it again because there's a lot of stuff you explored. I definitely picked up the thematic ties between Jessica and Trish. Jessica and Simpson, not so much, so I definitely want to kind of go back and explore that a little bit. But overall, it's a good episode. Really good flashbacks. Like I said, the flashbacks are probably what elevates this episode beyond something that's a little bit more middle of the road, like let's say like an episode, I don't know, like episode 6 or something like that. But it's not the most memorable of this season. I would say episodes 8 through 10 are definitely that stretch is definitely the most memorable of the season. But it's a good calm before the storm. It's a bit unconventional with the lack of Kilgrave, and yet Kilgrave is kind of everywhere in everyone's mind. And like I said, absolutely exceptional stuff with flashbacks, and the flashbacks kind of are what makes this episode kind of rise above. So that's it.
Okay, here's what I got. So, this episode is somewhat filler, but with really good character stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And importantly, good character stuff that's kind of needed for the finale, because before I kind of label this as like the last 3, again, basically like 8, 9, and 10 were, that was a 3-episode arc, kind of a trilogy of episodes, if you will.
Sure.
And to me, it kind of 11, 12, and 13. Don't know, it's more 12 and 13, I get that. But if you look at kind of like 11 as the prologue to the finale, I mean, they're both kind of, it's like, again, it gets our characters there and just shows you the danger of the Purple Man when he's not in a room. Then 12 and 13 is when he's back in the fur and he's more terrifying than ever. So, I mean, they kind of go together. It's like it feels like good supplemental stuff for the finale.
Sure.
Anyway, so I think Nuke is an example of how Kilgrave can drive someone mad, and again, he's kind of is a final reminder of like what Jessica has the risk of becoming going into the last 2. It's like absolutely Jessica could lose her mind, like Nuke. Again, Nuke, someone controlled by the Purple Man. By the end of it, driven completely insane. Whether like people are controlled by Kilgrave around them, that this guy needs to be stopped, even though he's more of a danger in the moment than Kilgrave is.
Mm-hmm.
It shows. It shows how our characters have evolved, most definitely. Again, Malcolm, for example, and we see again. We're going to see this obviously by the last one as well. But I mean, this is like a good showing, like Trish, she's kind of evolving into a superhero in her own right. Malcolm's become very kind of his own character, even separate from Jessica, as we see, especially in the next episode. Between him and.
Oh yeah.
But again, aside from Robin, this episode holds up on the rewatch again, except for Robin.
Yeah, Robin is, like I said, she's the unfortunate blemish on not just this episode, but really like.
I told you the statue. I told you the comparison. You have this flawless bust of Vincent D'Onofrio, Wilson Fisk. It's gorgeous. It gleams. It makes it look kind of Powerpuff Girls like.
Yeah,
sheen, the Gendy Tartakovsky, like a little like, you know what I mean, a little sheen, little shining light thing. You have that, and next to it, it's a very beautifully sculpted Jessica Jones statue. Like from head to toe. It's like, you have this wonderful bust. You have like on the side, you're like, it's a nice maquette of Jessica Jones. So it's nice, but you notice a few little divots in terms of the side, a little bit of mud on the boots. But again, it's still very. I appreciate this. Looks really cool. It's head to toe, a lot of detail in there. But you know what? It's not as gleaming and perfect, and you want to just like absorb the aura of the Wilson Fisk bust. But again, it's the last thing to say about what I really want to take away from this episode.
I would say Daredevil season 2 is just kind of like a very, very well crafted action figure.
I'm saying Daredevil season 2 is like, it's a Punisher. It's kind of like a Punisher, a 1/6 scale Punisher.
About a 1/6 scale Punisher.
That's a thing. Punisher's like it's a 1/6 scale Punisher.
He really kicks ass in the beginning, but kind of drops off the face of the earth a little bit.
I told you it gets. Have you finished it?
No, I haven't finished it.
Well, what does that tell you? You need to finish it before you make any statements.
I know.
Okay.
Anyways.
The point is, Punisher really well sculpted. Got a lot of details in there, but again, there's just some surprises. Maybe there's going to be another great one on the horizon. You always got little things like that considered the 1/6 scale. And my last statement here, if we can take away one last thing from the episode, I would hope it's this: is that after this episode, I think it's especially with the Luke Cage thing at the end, is all the crazy stuff that happens if you're just going into the first time we watch the show for the first time. This episode really gives you a feeling at the end that anything can happen in the final two.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And we'll see that unfold next time.
All right, so I guess that's it, folks. You heard it, last call, which means we've been cut off. But as we finish the next Marvel brand this evening and top off the latest bottle of Jessica Jones, we take a minute to toast Marvel on another fine Netflix series.
I'll drink to that.
Jessica,
Jessica,
my boys are dead because of you, Jessica.